The administrative divisions of the German Democratic Republic were constituted in two different forms during the country's 41-year-long history. The GDR first retained the traditional German division into federated states called Länder, but in 1952 replaced them with arbitrarily drawn districts called Bezirke. Immediately before German reunification in 1990, the old Länder were restored, but they were not effectively reconstituted until after the GDR had ceased to exist as a separate state. Division into Länder. General background: in May 1945, following its defeat in World War II, Germany was occupied by the United States, Britain, France and the Soviet Union. All four occupation powers, in the respective occupation zones, reorganized political life by restoring the Länder, the constituting parts of federal Germany, though the borders of these entities were adjusted and new entities created to form cohesive territories, avoid petty states and conform with the borders of the zones. The state of Prussia, whose provinces extended to all four zones and covered two-thirds of Germany, was dissolved in 1947. Special conditions were assigned to Berlin, which the four powers divided into four sectors. A united German state government existed in the city until it broke apart in 1948. After 1949, both West Berlin and East Berlin were in effect incorporated into the Federal Republic of Germany and the German Democratic Republic, respectively, despite not legally being part of these countries. Länder in East Germany. In the Soviet occupation zone, 5 Länder were established which roughly corresponded to the pre-existing states and provinces. The 5 states were: Brandenburg was created out of the major part of the Prussian province of that name. Mecklenburg-Vorpommern was created out of the state of Mecklenburg and the western parts of the Prussian province of Pomerania. Saxony was restored but augmented by the westernmost parts of the Prussian province of Lower Silesia. Also, the town of Reichenau was ceded to Poland. Saxony-Anhalt was created out of the most of the Prussian province of Saxony and the Free State of Anhalt. Thuringia was restored in the borders of 1944, when it had been augmented by neighboring parts from the Prussian provinces of Saxony and Hesse-Nassau. In 1949, the Soviet occupation zone was transformed into the German Democratic Republic. The 5 Länder participated in the legislative branch through the Länderkammer, which was elected by the Landtage. However, the Länder were not constituting entities forming a federal state but rather decentralized administrative entities of a quasi-unitary state. As a nod to the legal fiction that East Berlin was still occupied territory, it was neither counted as part of Brandenburg, nor as a state in its own right. East Germany claimed East Berlin as its capital, a status recognized by virtually all communist Eastern Bloc countries. However, most Western and non-aligned countries did not recognize this. Division into Bezirke. The GDR quickly became a highly centralized state. In 1952, the ruling Socialist Unity Party announced to establish socialism in a planned manner. The Länder were no longer deemed to correspond to the requirements of the new tasks of the state. On the 23rd of July 1952, a law combined the GDR's municipal districts into regional districts, and subsequently, on the 25th of July 1952, the state governments transferred their administrative tasks to the new districts. With this law, the Länder were in effect dissolved. While they formally remained in existence, they no longer had any political or administrative function. The Länderkammer also remained in existence, and its members were elected in 1954 by combined sessions of the Bezirk stage in each land, and in 1958, directly by the Bezirk stage. However, on the 8th of December 1958, the Länderkammer was was formally dissolved and the states abolished with no objections being raised. The 14 new Bezirke were drawn without regard to the borders of the Länder and each named after the capitals, from north to south: Rostock, Neubrandenburg, Schwerin, Potsdam, Frankfurt, Magdeburg, Cottbus, Halle, Leipzig, Erfurt, Dresden, Karl-Marx-Stadt, Gera and Suhl. Due to its special status, East Berlin was originally not counted as a Bezirk. In 1961, after the construction of the Berlin Wall, East Berlin came to be recognized in GDR administration as the Bezirk Berlin, though it retained a special status until the adoption of the revised 1968 constitution. The Bezirke were subdivided into rural districts and urban districts. Reconstitution of the Länder. On the 23rd of August 1990, just over a month before German reunification on the 3rd of October, East Germany reconstituted the 5 original Länder. In theory, it was these Länder that then ascended to the Federal Republic of Germany. The restored Länder did not fully reconstitute themselves until after reunification. On the 14th of October 1990, elections to the Landtage were held in the 5 new states, initiating the formation of state governments. Since changes to the boundaries of municipal districts were not reversed, and also due to considerations of expediency, the territorial makeup of the restored Länder differed somewhat from the borders prior to 1952. Saxony and Saxony-Anhalt initially retained the rural and urban districts as administrative entities. Saxony-Anhalt later abolished them in 2003, while Saxony transformed them into directorates in 2008.